Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osubrick501 and today I want to go over some items you should definitely look into buying right now because their prices are so ridiculously low. So once you go into the market, we're going to go to Enhancement Materials and we're going to put the rank to normal. And this is going to allow us to only view the armor and weapon stones. And because these items specifically have been absolutely tanked in price by bots. And this can be seen the most at tier 1. So for 10 destruction or 10 guardian stone fragments, they are currently sitting at the lowest price of 1 gold. Now, if you look at the average day price, even within the 5 days, these are completely tanked. As you can see, destruction stones were at an average of 3.3 5 days ago. And I know before that it kept going up. So you'll see a chart similar to this if it had more than 5 days. I think like a week or a little bit longer in that, these were at like 4, 5, or 6 gold per 10 of these. And same with the guardian stone fragments. You can see they're a little bit cheaper, but they've been getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper over the last 5 days. And the reason for this is because a lot of bots have started farming chaos dungeons, because that is something that you could pretty easily program bots to very effectively farm. And in chaos dungeons, the first 2 you do a day, all of the armor and weapon stones you get in any tier can be sold. So it's very easy to just throw a bunch of bots into the chaos dungeons in whatever tier they're in and get a ridiculous amount of items to sell. And you can even see this with tier 2. These have been dropping quite a bit as well. And I'm not sure if there's a ton of bots in tier 3 yet to do those chaos dungeons, because the prices of these have also been going down quite a bit. But if there's not a ton of bots in tier 3 yet, there's definitely going to be more and more of them going in. So I'd expect you start to see tier 2 and tier 3 to start to tank a lot more as well. So if you have characters in these tiers, especially tier 1 and more into tier 2, I would definitely recommend you start buying these. All the tier 1 fragments being 1 gold is just ridiculous. You can buy so many of these. And keep in mind, this is 10 per that 1 gold. So you could easily just get a new character to 50, buy a ton of these fragments, and have all the fragments you need to upgrade that character very quickly. And having more and more characters in tier 2 and tier 3 is just going to keep increasing your gold making potential. So this can be seen as a more long-term investment, because if you buy all these cheap materials, get your tier 1 character to tier 2, then in a tier 3, over time you're going to be farming so much more gold. You're going to make your gold back and a lot more. Now there is one issue with buying these armor and weapon stones right now, and that's that the other honing materials have not tanked in price this heavily. So if we go down to Harmony Leap Stones, we see they're still 19 gold. They've been 19 gold for quite a while now. They really haven't changed. We go over to Life Leap Stones. These have been going down on a consistent basis, but they're not being tanked. And the tier 3 Honor and Greater Honor Leap Stones have still been holding their price depending on what time of the day it is. See, this one for the average is still right around 190 to 195, and the Great Honor Leap Stones are still sitting over 700 gold. And the reason for this is bots can't really farm any of the unbound leap stones, because pretty much all the unbound leap stones come from doing your 2 guardian raids per day. And they're not going to have an easy time programming bots to be able to efficiently farm guardian raids. They might be able to do it on some of the guardian raids. They may be able to do it on some of them, but not in a manner that's efficient enough to actually tank the market like they're doing with the armor and weapon stones. But with that being said, I think it's still a really good option buying these incredibly cheap armor and weapon stones and upgrading your characters as quickly as possible. Because like I mentioned, especially in tier 1, you can buy a full stack of armor or weapon stones for less than 1,000 gold. That's going to take you through so much of gearing a character up to tier 2, and it's going to be ridiculously cheap. And I do also think there's a possibility of tier 3 honing materials also tanking, because if we see a bunch more bots getting into tier 3 and farming the chaos dungeons, we can see the prices of all tier 3 honing materials start to go down heavily. Because once you get into tier 3 and start farming the infinite chaos dungeons in tier 3, the vendor works completely differently. The tier 1 and tier 2 mats the vendor sells are all bound to that character, so they can't infinitely farm those tiers and sell all those materials. But at tier 3, every single material that vendor sells can be sold on the market, and you can buy a ton more on a weekly basis basis. You can buy every single item in there 99 times. Now the prices do increase every time you buy them, but if you have dozens or hundreds of bots running, doing it 24/7, you're going to be able to buy just ridiculous amounts of tier 3 materials. And like I mentioned, I don't think we've seen too much of that yet, but depending on how long it takes them to ban a new massive wave of bots, we could potentially be seeing a lot of very cheap tier 3 materials. And if that starts to happen, we can definitely use that to our advantage and start to buy all of their super cheap tier 3 materials, which is just going to help normal players be able to keep upgrading themselves into tier 3. So if that starts happening, I would recommend you just hold your materials and buy the materials if they get ridiculously cheap. So it's pretty much all I wanted to go over for this video. So subscribe if you want to see more Lost Ark or other MMO videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about the prices of these honing materials, and thanks for watching.